For a year, I couldn't get AI to replicate my tone and voice to write my marketing emails for me. And I used to blame authenticity, right? It's not authentic enough to write like me. It sounds hollow. And the problem was that 99% of the times it was right, that argument stood. But there was still that 1% that I could not explain. And for the last year, I've been trying to give it as much context as I possibly can to make it a bit closer to the way that I sound, right? I send more than thousands of emails. I wrote lots of school posts. I have a lot of written content. I wrote a lot of scripts for my YouTube videos. And still, after giving all of this, all of that context, it could not really replicate and sound the way I do, even though it knew exactly what my business is about, what am I selling, how I speak, my grammar mistakes, and everything basically. It still sounded hollow. So lack of authenticity seemed like the right and obvious answer, right? It has no personality, it has no soul, and it didn't really mean the thing that it says. So it just explained it for me for this long period of time. But then when I started giving it more context and even more content, it became mountains of content, then it did started to talk like me. It did started to using the exact words I use. And it actually was talking like I do. And I couldn't understand it, right? It lacks the authenticity, but it talks in my voice. But this little 1% that I mentioned before, it still lacked something, lacked some meaning behind the line itself. It felt just empty. And that was the moment that I had to admit to myself that AI actually replaced and learned the way I speak. And still, it was not that. Meaning, authenticity was not the answer. So without really a trace, I just let it go and forgot about it for quite some time. Then I accidentally found an answer in a place that I was not expecting completely. So the last few videos that I've been recording, I've used heavily AI to help me with the scripting process, meaning that it did have the context, it did speak like me, but the content itself was AI generated. Now, I hate to admit it, but most of the words, most of the sentences, and most of the everything basically was used and written by it. It was my knowledge, my words, but just built based on AI. And when I sat down to record this little video for you, I just could not say it. So how I do that is I have basically a script going on, I read 2 lines, and then I deliver it to the camera. So I read the script, deliver it to the camera, and I just couldn't. So just to deliver 2 sentences, I could spend 10 minutes, and it sucked a lot. So what I did is I started looking for answers. So I started looking into teleprompter, into other solutions, and then I found this little video, acting tips for YouTube creators. And then it said something very important that I couldn't get out of my head, and it just opened the door to find the real answer. So it said something like this: when actors memorize lines, they're not just memorizing the entire line, right? They don't care about it. What they're looking for is the intention behind the line. And when they're acting, they're not acting and just spitting out lines. They're reacting to what the other person is saying and answering with intention the lines that they read, right? Not necessarily exactly what they're saying, but just the idea and the intention behind them. And then everything clicked. Of course, I could not say the lines because they were empty. They had nothing behind them, right? It was in my voice, but still, they had no soul behind them, no meaning, no context, nothing. It was just saying the words. And then I started looking deeper into it. And to just explain what intention is, let's first define authenticity. Authenticity is saying the exact words that you're thinking. It's not your tone, it's not your voice, it's simply how close what you are saying to what you're thinking. Meaning, with enough context, AI can definitely replace it. So the answer is not authenticity. So if not authenticity, what is intention? Intention, it is the reason you are saying something that you want your reader to think, feel, believe, or do based on your experience and on your emotion. Now, let's quickly define experience and emotion to understand it even better. Experience is a real-life event that happens only to you. Everyone can share the same experience, but your specific experience would be slightly different. Maybe it's a little detail, maybe it's the time, maybe it's the context, right? Something is different about the experience that you're having. Emotion is what you felt during that experience and is the emotion you want your reader to feel. For example, probably most of you watching this video had a flat tire once in their lifetime, right? And the experience of having a flat is pretty common to a lot of people. But what is different for your specific experience and my specific experience are the details. So it's the time of the day, so it's the country and where that happened, where you were going, were you rushing, how many people were in your car, right? Those are different details about it. And every one of us, based on those details, had different kind of emotions. For example, if I'm rushing and I'm having a flat, probably I would feel stressed about it. But if I'm in the car with my friends and I get a flat in an area where we can just stop and just chill outside and only then switch the flat, maybe I'd have a completely different experience. And that specific experience combined with that specific emotion is unique to you. And while AI can tap into everyone's experience and into everyone's emotion, it has actually none of us experience and none of us emotion, meaning he cannot steal and take from you that story. So intention becomes the reason why you're telling that specific story to your readers and what you want them to feel, because the flat tire itself doesn't matter. It's not about a flat tire. It's about resilience. It's about the action you took. It's about preparation and basically the meaning behind it. So AI does know how to fix a tire. It does know verbally how fixing a tire feels like, but it does not know why this specific flat tire matters in this specific email for this specific reader. And that is intention. When you're telling stories and telling your experience and sharing your emotion for that experience, it what gives life to those stories. It's why it matters. That's how you make the context behind the lines feel real and not just hollow, because it's not copy pasted. It's not just a random thing that happened. It's an actual event and an actual feeling. And this is something that AI cannot replicate. Not now and probably not ever, unless they have like chips in our brains, right? But for now, it is not really possible. So if you write an email today and you want your AI to automate that process for you and to speak like you with intentions, that's how you do that. So when I say to write an email, the first thing I do is I think about the intention, right? What I want to teach my readers, what I want them to feel, and what is the purpose of it. Then I move to find out a story that can support that and can illustrate it and can just show it visually, not necessarily visually, just verbally, but explain it and put the reader in my shoes. And that was experience. Then I asked myself what kind of emotion I felt that then and what emotion I want my reader to feel. And based on that, I start building the idea of the email, right? That's the finalizing the intention, finding out what I want to just share with my readers, find out an experience that helps me illustrate it, and find out the emotion that I want to follow throughout the entire email. Ideally, I want just one emotion. Then what I do is I just dump everything into a doc file. I just start writing everything to give that intention, that experience, and that emotion to the AI. After I got it, I just take it, paste into my LLM with all of the context, and it spits a ready to go email with intention, and that is authentic to the way that I speak. And that is my writing process for the last few emails that I wrote after discovering it. Basically, the main key element and the main key thing that you have to keep in mind is that AI is not there to decide the meaning for you. You are giving the intention, giving the context, and only then he is editing the email. Basically, you are the actor and it is the script. So for the better or worse, AI can steal your voice. It can steal your tone. It can even steal your authenticity. But it cannot give meaning to those words. And that is your job. And that would be what separates you from other content creators. And if it inspires you and you want to start writing emails daily and consistently and just to test it out and start expressing yourself in ways you could not before, then I would suggest you clicking somewhere on the screen right now and checking out the next video. In the next video, I broke down Netflix's retention formula and how it can be used for email consistency. So if you want to write more emails, click somewhere on the screen and go check it out next. See you there.